unusual.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank Furlough, it's Friday. Once again, episode 144 of ICB TV, and it's lovely to have you with us. I'm not sure what it's like where you are. Here in Romsey, it's 20 degrees. Jackie, on the other hand, tucked away there on the East Coast, it's freezing apparently, hence she's wearing a jacket, and I'm here in my open air shirt. Hi, Jackie.
Yeah, it's very cold here, and yeah. Hi, yeah, it's very chilly here. There's that cold northerly wind, but I will say I still have a very dodgy internet access, so I'm going to be coming in and out, and I have no idea how to fix it. So apologies if I break up again.
Well, you're looking okay at the moment. Everything's running quite smoothly, but that's good. And
not too bad at the moment.
You're going to launch into your bit. I've got quite a few things to talk about later. But
yes,
the floor is yours.
Very little to say today. I'm just going to put some links up. The only things that have come in is two messages, really. One is they're both to do with coronavirus schemes. One is to do with paying back. There is a new updated guidance on paying back the CJRS, and either you've got to pay it back in your next claim, or if you're not making another claim for furlough, you've got to get your payment reference number. Now, there's nothing in there that we don't know already, and not quite sure why they've updated it unless it's for the dates. I can't actually see any obvious changes, but there is a slight change. Now, when we first started this, anyone who was making a claim for 100 employees or more had to use a template to upload, and that's been the same as far as I'm aware right the way through. And now from the 27th of May, which actually was yesterday, you can now upload a template if you are reporting between 16 and 99 employees. So up to 15 employees, you still have to put them all in individually. But if you're 16 and over employees, then there is a template that you can use that you can fill out and upload that in one go. And it does explain in there. And I do have a link for that, which I will put up into the chat. And to be honest, HMRC have gone very quiet this week. They've had no HMRC meetings this week. I've had one very short guidance update from my contact on the tax agent support group. And to be honest, Gary, that's it for today that I have got for them. So very short and sweet.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, I'm sure
that's short and sweet.
No, yeah. That's fine. That's fine. I mean, we've other things have been happening non-ICB, obviously, recently. The biggest one being the Friends reunion yesterday. I don't know if anybody saw that. That was a really fantastic event. It wasn't icky. It wasn't a waste of time. It was interesting. It was fun to see them all again. And one or two of them have got things in different places to what they were when we used to watch them on television. But apart from that, I think they're doing well. Now, I mentioned that for two reasons. Obviously, one, because it's been a big part of my life growing up, and I know a lot of you people as well. But our members are a very interesting bunch. They do all sorts of strange things in their spare time, and I don't know how many of you caught this on the social media, but our friend Chrissy Applin, yet again, starting a trend. She started making Lego models. And she's not just any model, but she's done now one of the Statue of Liberty and of the Paris skyline, which is a really interesting one because it's places that she's been to. And therefore she wanted to remember them because she can't go at the moment. As if not to be beaten, Kirsty St. John then, she has done Lego models of things that she wants to go and see rather than she's been to. So I think I've got something down here. I think it's the Dubai Zurich, that beautiful big tower. Helen Bauer then has done one of the Statue of Liberty because that's somewhere she wants to go. I was expecting it to be of a snake of some sort, but never mind. That's that. So that's great. But following on from that, Jenny Fogarty, a lot of you will know, she's from Auto Entry. She's actually done a Lego of the Friends set. Now, I haven't yet seen any of these, so I'm not quite sure to what standard we're talking here. I mean, I'm not sure whether Jenny's is life size or presumably not. But so anyway, there's a challenge there ready for next Friday. when Jackie isn't here, so we will be having somebody else along, but probably not quite as time filling as Jackie normally is. So I thought what we'll do, we'll have a competition. Let's see who can come up with the best Lego model of whatever you want, really. And I'm not sure how we're going to judge this quite, but you need to let us know what you're doing and when you've completed it. If you let us know by Thursday, I think what we'll probably do, and I'm thinking as I'm going along here now, probably bring half a dozen of the best ones on, plus perhaps do selfies, because then I can share those with you on the screen. I'll get marketing to sort something out. We've got Iris with us today. That's her sort of bag, really. Iris, I'm sure we can do something, but I definitely want to see Chrissy, Kirsty, Helen and Jenny and their individual, well, I'm presuming masterpieces. So anyway, that would be good. So yeah, now the other thing is, and this is following on from something that we've been thinking of for a while, we did mention once before, and then last week a lot of people reminded us that we no longer have covered a book or a film or a favorite tune or something rather. We did promise to do this, so we're going to be putting together a bookkeeper's soundtrack. Now there are two sides to this. There is the side of the soundtrack for what to relax to, what tunes do you relax to? So we'll put these together on a compilation. But the other one is, do you have a particular tune that helps you actually do your bookkeeping work? Now you might say you can't listen to something when you do bookkeeping because you get confused. I know other people will say, I have to have a tune on or else I'll go stir crazy. So start sending those three, please, to customer service at ICB, and then we'll get those sorted and we'll try and bring them together and create some sort of, I'm talking to the technics at the moment, but we will bring together a playlist. Now, one very big announcement I have to make is that the Luca event this year will take place on Monday, the 1st of November. So that is the actual anniversary of the date that ICB was registered for the first time. Now, I know it's a Monday, and people will say, well, hold on a minute, I've got to come down early, I've got to stay overnight and all the rest of it. I know, but to be honest with you, it's never going to suit everybody, whatever we do. And I know that Mondays in the past have been very, very popular. In fact, doing the Mondays for the last two live events that we did when we did them at Heathrow was the most popular that they've ever been. So we're going to have a dinner. And the reason I'm announcing it now is, and it's a little bit advanced of contracts being signed, but we've been trying to get a brand new venue that's in the middle of London. It's called the Londoner, and it's a fantastic new hotel and conference centre that's being built. You will remember, those of you who watch this programme a lot, me walking around with my hard hat on once in Leicester Square. This is bang in the corner of Leicester Square. It is going to be the venue to go to for people from across the country. It's going to be the biggest thing to hit London. It's beautiful. It's fantastic. So look out for information about that. Now, I know I've jumped the gun a little bit. I've got probably marketing hopping up and down now and saying, oh, you shouldn't have said anything. But I did send them an email saying, can I mention something? And they haven't come back and said no. So I'm taking, President Liberty, whatever you call it. But anyway, so that's going to be good. Now, we are going to be doing a few other things around that day. We wouldn't want you to come all the way down here just for a dinner, even though it is a Luca. So listen out for those as well. Now, we're not sure how we got the venue because we were second option or third option or something or other. All I will say is that Agatha Guanaccia, who has been sorting this out, Guanaccia is an Italian name, and I did hear mafia mentioned once or twice, but anyway, so I think that the risk of having a horse's head in his bed one day, the manager's decided we should come to the top of the list. So we're very privileged to be going to this fantastic new venue, and more information. Oh, squirrel's just gone past my window. Isn't that nice? So more information will be coming out in due course. It is literally, hot off the press. The press isn't even rolling yet, so it's that in advance. So if I'm not here next week, it's because I've upset marketing and they closed me down. But anyway, never mind. So Following, have we got any questions there before I go on to anything?
We've got a couple of comments in the chat about music choices and Lego. If you want to have a look at those, Gary.
We got there. Let's have a look. Yeah. Kiwi 66 to all panelists. My daughter. Wait a minute. Let me go to the top. There we are.
Oh, the top one is the one that I put up for
that's right.
my link. That's all right.
My daughter has done it. I'm doing puzzles. Kiwi 60. Who's Kiwi 66? So wait. You need to have your names up there. I'm not sure which one that is. I have a very intricate Lego model of Winnie the Pooh's house, says Iris. All right. Why? But anyway, a model, as long as you've made it, that's the whole point. Kiwi 66 says to all panelists, Enya. Yeah, no, Enya, lovely. If you've done a Lego model of Enya, I think that's fantastic. Oh,
I think that might be the music.
Yeah, okay. No, only joking. Enya. Can't think of what that.
It's that lovely, gorgeous music, Enya.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So I think we're done on that at the moment.
Yeah, we've got one technical query coming, and this one's going around the houses a bit. Nicola, hi Nicola. Nicola says, mentioned before about reporting sales on a daily basis for MTD. Is this just for digital sales, or does it relate to all sales? E.g., my client has a pub and the accountant is currently reporting sales on a monthly basis. Does this need to change? Now, I'm trying to get a definite answer on this one, because when we spoke to Verna last, she was adamant that all till sales and sales, whether they're retail or everything, have to be reported on a daily basis. Now, she says it is not an MTD requirement, it is a VAT requirement, and always has been a VAT requirement. But I have been looking at the legislation on this, and it refers basically to retail, anyone on the retail scheme. So if you are reporting VAT under the retail scheme, which pubs may or may not be doing, then that has to be submitted on a daily basis, whether it's MTD or not. But if not, it just says there has to be proof of daily sales. And I'm wondering, and it does say this can be in a spreadsheet. So I'm still trying to get the answer, and I will have to keep chasing up on this one as to whether having the breakdown on a daily basis on a spreadsheet is sufficient, and you can then upload the monthly figures with all the VAT for the VAT returns and MTD and things. So there seems to be a little bit of a discrepancy between what's being said and how you interpret what HMRC says, and that can be one of a number of ways. So I hope that helps a bit, Nicola, but I am chasing this, and I will try and get a further answer for everybody.
Well, I'm very pleased that Nicola has come on, because actually that leads me very nicely into a Welsh link. So obviously Nicola's down there in Cardiff. And last week, when we were asked why we hadn't been giving you a decent television programme to watch recently, obviously we didn't realise you had so much time to spare. But anyway, I've noticed recently there's a lot of films that, I'm sure there always are, but there are a lot of series that are based in Wales at the moment that I'm really, really enjoying. Now, obviously, we've got Doctor Who and Merlin and big productions like that have always been shot in Wales, because the Welsh are very welcoming to those sorts of events, and they like to have films there. And I know Wales is a great place to get people to work on films, etc. And Gavin and Stacey, I mean, we've all been gripped by Gavin and Stacey and everything else. However, there are, you mentioned last week, everybody said about The Pact. I've got to watch The Pact. Well, I started to watch it and I thought, I'm not quite into this, so I haven't got through it. But everybody that was in there, I thought, I know them from somewhere. I've seen them in something else. And I've watched recently 2 other series, which are really, really good Welsh programs. One of which was Keeping Faith. And I think that was 2 series, possibly 3. And I've just caught up with Hinterland. Now, again, Hinterland is shot in Aberystwyth, which is a place I know, and it's great to be able to see all the bits. And last week, the one I watched most recently was in Borth, and Innislas Beach, Borth, Aberystwyth. That's where I spent my formative years, either being taken by my parents or taking my own family at one stage. So it was lovely to see that, but they were great. So The Pact, if you like that, Keeping Faith and Hinterland. There might be others. but you will see people that are in all of them coming up, and it's great to see, oh, that was so-and-so, you know, and that was really, really good. So just to keep you on with that one. Now, something I forgot to mention about this year's Lucas. We will be putting the applications out a little bit earlier this time. This year's Lucas will be somewhat different. This year's Luca event is to celebrate our 25th anniversary, obviously, and 25th anniversary, as we all know, is silver. Now, we're not quite pushing the boat out as far as Hallmark silver, but the Lucas this year will be silver. So chromium plated, I'm thinking at the moment. We might go to silver, I don't know. So if you want to get a Luca, and whether it's your first or in Training League's case, your 21st or something or other, this year you can have a silver Luca. Now, they are going to be something special and a little unusual, something different and more coveted than ever. And what I want you to think of is, you know, I'm sure you all feel you deserve a Luca. Get your name down, get your application in. Let's see what you are about. Let's get you mentioned, even if you only get nominated. As the great Sarah has always said, it was great being nominated, even when before I won one. But obviously, she eventually won one and took it home back with her to Glasgow. So great. So a little different there, a little different, something to look forward to. I'm sure it will mess up the shelf for some people that have won rather a lot of them, with one silver one sticking out among the bronzy coloured ones that we've got. You can see I've got two here behind me that are the originals, and they sort of come back to us when unfortunately somebody passes away. But those are the very early originals. These all weigh a ton. But anyway, so again, something different. Have we got any more questions or anything, Jackie?
No, everybody's very quiet this afternoon.
It's the heat. I think everybody's gone out and they're having an afternoon in the sun or something or other. So just to recap, I can't believe this. It's only 17 minutes past 2. People will be tuning in soon and we're not there. Lego. We want you to build something for a reason, obviously. So, you know, I don't know, you might build a PC out of it or something or other. But it all started with Chrissy Applin to remind herself of lovely places that she's visited, and she built Statue of Liberty and the Paris skyline. Now, I did say before, I haven't actually seen these, but it sounded fun. And it's not something I've started, it's something Chrissy started. So following on from that, everybody then jumped on the bandwagon, as our members tend to, and that's great. So there will probably be more out there. I'm sorry if I don't mention you, but Kirsty St. John, as I said before, and I'm sorry I can't read my writing here, but I think it's the Dubai, the big skyline tower. Helen Bauer has done also the Statue of Liberty, but because she wants to go, I think, rather than she's actually been there. But anyway, so I'm not sure about that one, but we will see. And then I am dying to see Jenny Fogarty's reproduction of the set of Friends in Lego. I mean, that does sound good, very topical at the moment. So Jenny, I need to see that. We need to show that to our members. Jenny, some of you will remember her from our Inspire tours and conferences and various other things. She's always around there, and it's good to see that auto entry is not taking up all of her time, which is great. So I think that's probably about it. Oh yes, we need your tunes. Kirsty's come up with something. All panelists, Amazon.co.uk Lego. Oh, what's that all about then?
Ooh. Not sure. I'll let you have a look. While you're looking at that, a couple of technical queries.
You actually buy the Friends set as a Lego thing. It's not something she could... right, okay. Never mind. Yeah, now I've done that, I can't get rid of that. How do I get rid of that?
Possibly.
There we are. I'm back. I'm technology.
Camera back on. I don't know, Gary.
Yeah, apparently it's in a box. So,
you're back.
But never mind.
Yeah, I know. There are some amazing there are some amazing ones out there. My son is into Lego and always has been since he was about 6. And he's now into these like James Bond model cars. They're really fancy cars that move and will do all sorts of things with engines. He builds those now when he can afford them, because they cost an absolute arm and a leg. Couple of technical questions coming in.
Yeah.
Julie is asking about the statement to clients who are concerned about SAYS. We haven't actually managed to come up with a formal statement for you yet, but what I would say is that to remind your clients that if you're absolutely convinced they should be repaying these back, that when they claimed the SAYS grant, they did actually sign a declaration that either their profits had been affected or their turnover had gone down. So at the moment, what I'm saying to people is you need to remind your clients of that. Now, there is a box on the self-assessment return this year to sign if you think it's been overclaimed. And I've had a couple of members asking what they should do if they think this is the situation. Actually, as far as members are concerned, this is actually a legal issue and a sort of responsibility and professional indemnity, all sorts of things. There are some complications in here, which is why we haven't been able to get a statement out yet to you. But I will try and see how we're getting on with that, and we will try and get something out to you. But in the meantime, I think you just need to persuade your clients that if you've got proof of the income and the fact that they've claimed it and their income hasn't gone down, then you need to point this out. As far as that's concerned, haven't gone any further than that, but hopefully we will do fairly soon. Jane Ball, good afternoon, Jane, has come back with a question, which is a new one to me, so somebody else might be able to know about this. Tied business accounts seem to be a bit of a nightmare, as they allow separate accounts with separate account numbers for pots for VAT and tax. Statements are not made available automatically and clients struggle to send me transactions and balances. Is there any other way to obtain this information? Tied to tell me in an automated email, no phone numbers, that I need to send a photograph of my driver's license. Help. Well, I'm afraid I can't help there because it's not a piece of software with which I am familiar. So if anybody else has used Tied accounts, maybe you can either come back to us online or send us in an email and we'll try and see if we can get some help. I'll look into that for you, Jane, and see if I can come up with anything, but it's not a piece of software that I've used. What I am actually going to put out a call for some help for people is I've been asked to do a Technical Tuesday webinar on IR35. Now, it's not the tax side of it and the deductions. It's to do with the bookkeeping side, and I'm working through this at the moment. And I will be talking to one of the larger software companies about how they advise treating with this. But what I'm struggling with at the moment is if you have a client who has a contract under IR35 and has tax and NI deducted, it's easy to do the bookkeeping entries for the contractor, for the client, because that's straightforward. But it's how to deal with the tax and NI in the final accounts for whether your clients are either limited companies or sole traders. And I'm doing some research on this, and I'm hoping to do a Technical Tuesday in about 2 weeks on this. So if anybody's been involved in this and wants to get in touch, then I'd be most grateful just to bounce some ideas off of you while I find it. But as I say, I am hoping next week to speak to one of the software companies, technical people, to see how they're planning to deal with it. I'm wondering if they're actually dealing with it or not. But I'm struggling to get anything off of gov.uk at the moment. So anybody there has got any ideas, please do get in touch.
Right, something else I'd like to mention.
We'll use it on the Technical Tuesday.
We've had a couple of inquiries recently. I'm sorry, I've talked over there, Jackie. You froze for a minute. I thought you'd finished. I do apologise.
That's all
right. We've had a couple of queries recently from our members who have taken over accounts from chartered accountants, and they've asked for a letter of clearance. They've sent their letter of clearance, and they're not getting anything back from the accountant. Now, this apparently does happen a lot. It shouldn't happen, but obviously I suppose the accountants are pretty miffed that they've lost a client, as we all would be, but we have to be professional, or should be. Now, I checked with ICAW, my contact there, and I'm afraid the only thing that they could give me is, in order that this is handled properly, if it's an ICAW member, so I can't speak for the other organisations, but it's probably similar, If you go onto the ICAW website, top right-hand corner, I think it is, there are a list of things there, including discipline, and you can put in a formal complaint and it will then be followed up by ICAW. I'm not sure how quickly these things are answered, because ICAW is quite a big organization. It does take time. So if they've got to write to the member's then got to write back and various other things. So it may not be the answer that's going to get your clients' materials to you so that you can do, one of the cases this week was PAYE for the month, etc. But that's the only way that they will look at it, and that's so they treat everybody the same. So they say if it's being handled incorrectly by their member, they will take action. But as far as I'm concerned, it's probably not the best answer. But if you are struggling with something like this and you're not getting cooperation from the accountant that you're taking, or bookkeeper, I suppose, that you're taking the client from, will you please get in contact? Now, I did say last week, possibly the week before, that we'd had a complaint from a chartered accountant that their client had been taken by one of our members, and our member had beaten them, they felt, purely on price. And our member was doing their self-assessment return for £60 and their annual accounts for £60. So that £120 that the accountant, off the top of my head, had been charging about £1,200 for. Now, the accountant probably quite rightly said, you can't be doing for £120 what I do for £1,200, even if I overstate everything and charge you for the time I get up in the morning to the time I go to bed at night. There has got to be something missing. Now, what I would say is that if it's a micro business or a small business that's FRS 105 or 102A, that is the area that you are allowed to do if you are qualified to do it. And this member was, so she's been through all the exams, she got all the certificates and everything else. Don't undervalue yourself. You know, you shouldn't be going in and winning business purely on 10% of the price that it cost them to get it done somewhere else. That's not what professional bookkeeping is about. It's giving the people the best understanding of their business, the best results from what they have to do, and taking a weight off their mind. It's not about what I would call, seriously, it's anti-competitive pitching. I don't know how else to put it. You know, anybody can take a lower price, but it just worries me that there is no need to. I mean, in that case, £1,100 would have been a saving. So, you know, I think we've got to be careful, and it is something we're covering in the Inspire Tour. We're having quite a session on how to charge and how to get the money in. You know, I speak to our members on a regular basis. I was talking to Claire Allen yesterday about something else, and this particular sort of subject cropped up, and you know, she's very keen to make sure that bookkeepers get what they're valued, what they should be valuing themselves are, you know, what they are to the business that they're serving, and that's very important. Anybody that decides to drop their accountant has got to have good reason. It shouldn't just be that it's saving them £1,000 a year, because at the end of the day, that £1,000, is it a proper investment? We've got to be careful. Bookkeepers are absolutely the right people to do accounts for businesses and do them properly. Absolutely. Don't underestimate what you're going to do. Don't chicken out and charge a silly price, please.
Can I come in on that one, Gary? Because one of the things that I completely agree with everything you say, but also what we have to think about is obviously bookkeepers will do it slightly cheaper or cheaper than the accountant, because you've been dealing with the books all year, and Gary's mentioned this on numerous occasions. You know that person's business inside out, and you know that your figures are correct. When an accountant does a year end, they have probably got to do quite a lot of investigations to make sure that the accounts that have come to them are actually accurate and correct, and they've got to do all their due diligence, and not an audit, obviously, but they've got to do a fairly full check. And I know when I used to send accounts to an accountant when I was in practice, they would come back and do sample of the various ledgers, accounts, and ask me to prove certain things. And then they would always pick the ones that just happen to have a query in it or something. So that's one of the reasons why they do that, because it covers their due diligence. But I agree with you that, you know, just the fact that you have done all that and you know those figures are correct doesn't mean that it's just the press of a button, because there are a lot of other things you've got to think about when you do all those returns.
And I think the thing is as well, you need to get payback for all the hard work that you've gone through to pass your exams, the experience you bring to the table, etc., etc. I mean, don't go over the top, obviously. And as I say, we are discussing this during Inspire Tour, which comes up second week of June. So I hope you're booked in for that. Hundreds have already booked in, so it's going to be a big event again. And so that's great. Yeah, I think we've got to be careful. I take where you're coming from, Jackie, but the other thing is, just because you've done the accounts for 12 months, you can't just press a button and,
I agree.
Print it. You need to go back and look at it again and make sure everything is okay. And, you know, is there anything that you've put on one side that you were going to do and you haven't done, and all this sort of stuff. But yeah, no.
There are, and of course there are, you know, you can't just press the button, because everyone that's done that qualification knows that there are an awful lot of those things that you've put through which are perfectly legitimate business expenses for your accounts, which cannot be allowable for tax. So they have to be sort of taken out, various other things. So yeah, it's not an easy thing. And I think that we're going to come back to this, I think, when MTD gets going.
Yeah.
Not for corporation tax, because that won't be for quite a long way down the line. But when the self-assessment comes in, this is going to be revisited time and time again. And there's a lot of discussion going on at the moment with HMRC about this.
Yeah, I think that the government has been struggling for a long time to get people to do their books properly, and they want everybody to be digitalized. They want to see what's going on inside a business. So many businesses were off the screen, as it were, and we didn't know about them. They were keeping their head down and all this sort of stuff. It's all going to come out. If you're running a business, everything's going to be traceable, etc. But I think if they're not careful, they'll lean far too heavily on the digital revolution, and it's going to be leaving the books to people who've got a computer, an iPhone, and a bit of software, and they think they can do bookkeeping. It's not that easy. Debbie Rose says, in the bookkeeper's defense, pricing is the elephant in the room. Absolutely. Nobody. Yeah. My elephant's up here somewhere. I don't know where it is. Nobody is prepared to talk about what they charge for their services. So, to a degree, new bookkeepers have nothing to compare their pricing to. Perhaps we need to have a suggested range of prices for different services that new bookkeepers can refer to. That would be great, Debbie. And we have tried this in the past by saying the minimum you should charge is. And then we've had people say, oh, well, that's not enough. And other people who say, well, I can't charge that because I'm new and I'm in a terrible area or whatever it might be. But yeah, I think we need some guidelines. And I think what we will do shortly is we'll put out a questionnaire. We'll ask people what they're charging. Now, I know some people will exaggerate or whatever, but it'll give us a ballpark figure so that you can compare yourself with some national averages. So we will be doing that shortly.
Faye's comment there is question surveyor prices, which is exactly what you just said. Mark's come back with an interesting comment. He said, Mark says, how would the accountant know what the bookkeeping was charging, I wonder? So somebody sort of was talking prices there.
Yeah, I mean, I presume the client used the excuse, well, I'm going to them because she's only going to charge me 120. Yeah. So what were you doing for your money? As you said, you just tried to explain, Jackie. And yeah, who's to say? You know, everything has got a cheap version and an expensive version. Sometimes the expensive versions are a rip-off, but actually sometimes they're better quality. So it doesn't, at the end of the day, just make sure you're giving a proper service, which is good for your clients. At the end of the day, it's also good for you, because if you take up your entire week earning peanuts, you're going to suffer, the business is going to suffer, your family will suffer, and everything else. So let's work on that. Renata.
Yeah, Natalie came back. The other one, Natalie said, I agree with you absolutely, Gary. ICB exams are very hard to pass. It takes a great deal of effort to study, understand, and pass the exams, and the price should reflect the high standard that ICB bookkeepers offer.
I think so, yeah. And ICB bookkeepers actually should be the most expensive bookkeepers out there, because we're the best qualified. Now, you might say, well, that would stop people using us. I don't think it would. I think it would just create a reputation where people who knew the importance of good bookkeeping would say, are you an ICB? No, all right, I'm sorry, I know you're cheaper, but I'm going to go with an ICB bookkeeper because of everything that they've done. And, you know, that's what we've said. And Renata Stamoulis, it will take some years to change mentalities, both bookkeepers and clients. Absolutely. But, you know, if things can, minds are being changed a lot at the moment. The last 12 months has shown us, you know, that everybody can change the way they do things. So, yeah, we can do it. And so, yeah, Faye, sorry, yours was the next one down. I did miss that. We will do a survey of prices. When it comes out, if you'll be as honest as you can be, and then that will mean that we won't tell anybody what you've told us. Obviously, it will be anonymous, but it will give us an idea of regional variations in types of service, etc., etc. And it's only going to be useful if it's proper, truthful, and it's accurate. We've got to get it.
Yeah, I'm going to come back on the MTD bit there for these quarterly returns that are coming in from 2023 and onwards. All of the professional bodies have been talking with HMRC about the increase in prices that their members are going to have to charge to do this. And this is for clients who are already represented. Of course, you've got all the non-represented clients out, or non-represented businesses out there that do all this themselves, and where we're going to go with this and the pricing. And I think it's good to get this conversation going, because I think by the end of next year, this is going to become more and more relevant when we start to do the extra work for the quarterly uploads, particularly if you've got new clients coming into the system.
And I think the thing is that a lot of accounting firms are not really geared up for quarterly meetings and for regular visits and everything else, or regular meetings, whereas it's life for a bookkeeper. That's what they do. So actually, we're in exactly the right place at the right time to do this. We've just got to make sure that the clients understand what you're doing, and the fact that you've got to do something 4 times a year instead of once a year, or whatever it might be. The client has got to understand they have to pay more for that. I mean, it might not be 4 times what they pay, but it's going to be more work, and you need to look at your practice. And if you're already rushed off your feet and you're just about managing to get everything done, now's the time to think, well, look, I'm going to need somebody else. Do I employ somebody? Do I look for another freelance? Do I buddy up with somebody? All this sort of stuff. So there are big things to think about, and we are going to be covering this. We're going to be working with you right the way along through this process.
Dee's come in and said, when I started, I asked around and found what others were charging. When I met clients for an initial meeting, almost all showed me the accounts done by their previous accountant, so I was able to see the accountancy accrual. This is going to go round and round, isn't it, Gary?
Yeah. Laura Silius said Practice Ignition did a really good webinar about pricing by Mark Wickersham. Well, Mark Wickersham came to us years ago, and he was at conference. He told us about the 3 sizes of coffee that was available at wherever it was, and everybody goes for the middle one. So, you know, put 3 prices in. I can do it for this, this, or this, and this is what you'll get. And they tend to go for the middle one. So make that the one that you're trying to get. I mean, there are all sorts of tricks with this, but at the end of the day, it is about value. It's about service. And, you know, I don't think we can be too cookie cutter with this. It depends on the individuals. But I think also occasionally we've got to have the courage of our convictions to be able to say, okay, no, absolutely, I can see where you're coming from, but I can't do it for that. So good luck, you know. And I sincerely hope you find somebody, but make sure they're qualified, make sure they're good, etc. Because you can't end up in an ever decreasing spiral, and some clients do want you to do that. Great.
Steve has come in and said, yes, would benefits for some guidelines for charging, or even an anonymous poll for members to see what they charge, Steve? Yes, that's what we'll be doing. Yeah.
Well, we're working on that at the moment. We're also, and incidentally, I've just had an email from Amy saying, yes, it's okay for you to mention the November the 1st Luca date. So, whoops. Anyway, I've done that. hopefully she's in agreement.
Just as well.
Otherwise, trouble. Yeah, we're doing that, and we're also we're looking. Some of our new members who want a meeting with us to talk about what to do with their business, etc. Three of our people are some of our skilled people. So we've got Lucy Brown, Paula Vesey-Smith, and Claire Allen. They've taken a selection of the members that are asking for this, and they're going to be speaking to those members over the next week or so to try and find out what it is that they want. Obviously, they've been there and done that themselves, so they know a lot about it. And we're looking at the whole process of starting a business right the way through to growing a business and then selling the business at the end of it and everything else. And we're going to find the pinch points, and we're going to provide you with training, mentoring, and various other things along the way. And we won't, unfortunately, be able to do that as part of your standard fee. We'll be able to do bits of it, but there will be an offering so that if you want to grow your business and you want to employ people or whatever it might be, there will be webinars, or there'll be sessions, or there'll be somebody you can talk to and be mentored by. And we're working on that process at the moment, because a lot of you do seem to want this. And one of the things that we noticed when we first started our onboarding process was that it wasn't actually just those people who were just starting their business. We had a business, for example, that had got, I think, 5 employees and over 100 clients. And the lady said, "Oh, I really don't have much confidence." Well, how do you build a business that big without confidence? And that's something that we've got to address as an institute. We can't presume that because you've got a big business, you're full of confidence. So again, it's this whole area of individual need, what it is you want, and making sure that we target what we do, because we never want to be the one-size-fits-all institute. We've never tried to be that. And, you know, I'm constantly saying, if you want to do this part-time, while you're bringing up the family, or when you've gone into retirement, or when you've been made redundant, whatever it might be, and you want 2 or 3 clients, and that's good enough for you, that's good enough for us. If you want to grow your business and you want 20 or 30 employees, or 4 or 5 branches, whatever it might be, yeah, we're there too. We are there for you, whatever you want to do. So in order to get that right, we've got to constantly ask you what it is you want, what it is you need. And a lot of you want a resource where you can sort of ring up and say, "I'm having a bad day. What do you think?" Or, "I'm having a really good day. I just wanted to tell somebody how well I've done," even. And I know Jackie takes a lot of technical queries. And sometimes I think, Jackie, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you get a little frustrated that you feel as if you're almost training people to run a business, and you can't do that the way that we're geared up at the moment. It's just, you can give technical advice.
Yeah.
It seems to sometimes get a little bit beyond that.
Yes, it does. And although I can try and help, there are a lot, obviously, things that I can't help you with, and I'll pass those on if I feel I can't. And I know some of you do contact us and speak to me because you actually know the answers. You just want someone behind you to say, "Yeah, I think you're actually doing that correctly." And I've got no problems with that at all, because those sort of people only ring the once and don't usually come back again for a while. And actually, my impression is that those people who do that actually know what they're doing, and they literally do just want a little bit of confidence building to say, "Yeah, actually, I think that's absolutely right. I think that's the correct way to do it." So yeah, it's not too bad.
I mean, we had a person recently, one of our members, who's been in practice for quite some time, and she had a couple of technical calls. She went through to our legal helpline, and I know, excuse me, she then came through to you, because she thought the legal helpline would obviously be right, but she wanted to get your impression. And then she rang in a couple of days ago and wanted to speak to Mike Jardine. And we said, "Well, is it a money laundering issue?" She said, "No, but he's obviously been around a lot. So I just want to check that Jackie and the people have got it right." She said, "I'm sure they have. It feels right, but I just want to check." And, you know, there's obviously an underlying lack of confidence somewhere, which we've got to tackle rather than fight the fires. We've got to look at, well, what is it that makes that person need that third confirmation, you know, if you like. And so, yeah, it's the harder part of giving advice, I have to say, but I think that's it. And some people might need a mentor that's going to just ring them up occasionally and say, "Yeah, you're doing really, really well. This is fantastic." And of course, getting the idea of how much people are charging and how many clients they've got on average and everything else, if you can benchmark yourself, hopefully that will help. And we don't want people looking at it and think, oh my God, I'm a failure because I've only got half the number of clients. So we've got to be careful how we do this. But I think that there's a lot expected of ICB. We've created a rod for our own back, but that's great. That's what we're here for. And we're just going to give, well, we're just going to have to give you more and more and more. That's it. So, is there anything else, Jackie? Or I think probably.
No, I think that's all we've got. I've left one question open that I've already spoken about because I need to try and find the answer, and that's Jane's query. But I think
has come through. When I started, I asked around and found what others were charging. When I met clients for an initial meeting, almost all showed me the accounts done by their previous accountant, so I was able to see what the accountancy accrual. I'm happy to say what I charge in a poll, whether anonymous or otherwise. Well, thank you, Dee. That is good. That's great. Yeah, obviously, sometimes you get to see the accounts and you can figure out how much it's all somebody's been charging, etc. Other times you have to get the client first, by which time you realize you've undercharged or something. But anyway, it's good. I think you do have to ask people, and even if you take it with a pinch of salt, sometimes that's what it's about. Branch meetings are great for that. People a bit reticent to begin with, but they'll come up with some idea. Oh, well, and I can do that. And so that's helpful. But yeah, if we will get this questionnaire off the ground as quickly as we can. And as I say, I'm hoping that we'll be able to do it regionally as well. And it depends what information we can take without taking your names, addresses, and everything else on it. But we can do it somewhere or another so that it will be a meaningful survey.
I think that's all of the questions.
Yeah, I think that's it, Jackie.
Yeah.
Actually, it's 10 to 3 anyway. So
yeah.
All right, everybody. I'm sure you are already looking up Keeping Faith in Hinterland. I'm sure you'll enjoy them both. And if nothing else, just spotting the other actors and actresses from the pack that you enjoyed so much. It looks like being a nice weekend. It's a bank holiday weekend, so it's going to be a break if nothing else. Don't forget the 1st of November. The information will be coming out soon, but please put that in your diary. Make it a big event. Come and join us. Let's celebrate 25 years of ICB being the leading bookkeeping organisation. And yeah, we'd love to see you because I've seen so few of you recently. I'm missing you all. So let's do that. Absolutely. Meanwhile, be careful. Get your jabs if you haven't had them, please. Let's get that right. And great. See you all. Have a lovely week. We'll see you. Well, Jackie won't. She'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
No,
I'll see you next week.
I'll be here in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll have something else for you next week anyway. And see you then. Bye, everybody.
Take care. Have a lovely weekend. Bye.